All right, well, let's start ranching. So ranching is I was adopted at 7. I grew up in Milwaukee, hitting baseballs in the back of the old Miller Brewing buildings that were vacated. And I was adopted at basically 5.5 and went out to North Prairie, Wisconsin. At that time, that population was 686. So from the city to the country, I was the youngest in the house in the foster home, and it was a great experience for me. And I became the oldest and the only boy with the Travers. And so, and again, it was a sweet process. And for me, it's kind of part of my faith journey too, just seeing the goodness of God through my life when I was just cared for and I didn't even really have an understanding. So now I'm sitting on this small farm surrounded by dairy farms. And, what I was probably a target for to be an indentured servant charity. You know what I mean? I was like, hey, that dude right there, let's put him to work,
Right.
and half the time it was free. So as I grew up, it was things like my list of chores and all this and running equipment and doing different things. I couldn't wait to get out of it. Like I despised it. You know what I mean? It was just work, work, work. And there was a lot of sport opportunities I missed because I was working. What I didn't know was there was something else being built in me, and it was a work ethic that I would see later in life that I didn't realize I had compared to maybe somebody who had a ton of free time. So this is like late 1990s. And I found myself looking at rural real estate in Texas. My wife and I are, in Houston at the time in the Sugar Land area. And man, there was something about wide open spaces that just made me smile. And I kind of wanted to find a way to share that with the family. So I sell to ADP in 2000. And in 2004, I buy this 550-acre ranch outside of Houston. And it's a longer story, but bottom line, he had it had a really nice home on it, had a guest house on it. It was a gentleman's ranch is what they call it, meaning it wasn't really a production ranch. It was more of a getaway. It was from my office, about 40 minutes from Westheimer, jump on the Beltway, Russ. I go up to 290. I go 12 miles north on Highway 6 and I'm there. So like if you came in to visit me, I could say, hey, you want to grab a sandwich and swing up to the ranch real quick, say hi to the guys. And you'd be like, yeah, let's do that. And in 40 minutes, we're pulling in the driveway. From our house in Sugar Land, it was 70 miles exactly. So it was nothing. So we buy this place and right away I'm like, oh, you knucklehead, you got to figure this out because I mean, you can't just pretend like this. You have to. So a ranch business was formed, Third Day Ranch. And the idea was, and we named it, we had went to the Dove Awards in Nashville. And so we're coming back, and Third Day was a band at the time. They won New Music Artist of the Year or whatever. And so we're driving back, and we had already closed on the ranch a couple months before. And I was like, hey, I think I got the name. And I was like, Third Day Ranch. She goes, I love it. So we have these commercial cattle, and they were like crossbred. We had bought them from the guy that had it. And they're crazy. It was just a mess. And I'm like, okay, this is not it. But I was a believer in a couple things. Number one, I had a little bit of it in me. What I didn't have, and I love that old Charlie Mungerism. Charlie is Warren Buffett's partner. And he says, when you realize what you don't know, that's the beginning of wisdom. And so to me, it was like, okay, well, I don't understand commercial versus seed stock here. I understand it in dairy in the north, but I don't understand it here. So that allowed me to start asking questions to people that I knew. So like Texas A&M was 15 minutes away.
That's right.
So you got the ag extension. So like I'm tapping those guys. And then I'm looking at like the realtor that sold me the place. Do you guys remember Dukes of Hazzard?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Well, this guy was Leroy.
Charity, you don't? Okay, go ahead.
Yeah. Leroy Hody was kind of like Boss Hogg a little bit, this big guy. And it was kind of hard to understand him. Sometimes he was so Southern, but guys, he was savant. The guy, he owned a real estate company, he owned a cattle company. I mean, the guy, he probably used $20 bills for kindling. I mean, the guy was really, really bright. And for some reason, he liked me. And I called him, this is after I bought the property. I'm about a year in. I said, Leroy, will you come to the Houston Livestock Show and Rodeo with me? I said, I want to buy Charolais bull. He said, sure. I'll. So we go down and we're looking at bulls. And I'm telling you this for a reason.